Hello everyone. Today we are going to start the first chapter of our social studies subjects geography portion, which is resources and development. This is the first part of the chapter. In this class, we are going to cover the following topics, which are first, our relationship with natural resources, second, who owns natural resources, third, what are natural resources, and the last one, classification of natural resources, which are renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Let's start with the first topic, our relationship with natural resources. Humans are an integral part of the natural world. Like other organisms, they enjoy and use nature's bounty, such as air, water, fruit, flowers, and other animals. However, humans differ from other organisms because they consciously change nature to suit their needs. They use nature's materials, make tools, and use these tools to produce the things they want. The natural materials they use are called resources. For example, in prehistoric times, humans chipped stones to make sharp tools and used these tools to hunt, dig roots and tubers, make baskets from bamboo, and sew clothes from animal hides. Thus, the natural resources they used in those days were stones, bamboo, animal hides, etc. The next topic talks about the ownership of natural resources. As the importance of natural resources in human life grew, questions arose about who should control them, how should they be used, and who should benefit from their use. Different communities answered these questions in different ways. In some societies, the people enjoyed collective rights to natural resources and framed community laws and rules to utilize them judiciously. They considered land, forest, and water resources as common property. These societies saw natural resources as divine, not as something they could exploit for their personal use. For them, the land, trees, rivers, oceans, animals, and mountains were gods and goddesses who provided them their livelihoods. In these societies, everyone had access to natural resources, but no one had the right to exploit them irrationally or irresponsibly. In some societies, the community did not control natural resources. Control lay in the hands of a few people. A small class of landowners owned the land and reaped the benefits by making the common people farm their land. In some society, in some societies, kings managed the land. In some societies, kings managed the land and irrigation resources and also protected the territory, and in turn took a large share of the agricultural produce as taxes. Human productivity grew in these societies as people exploited resources in complex ways. Towns and cities with large buildings developed as trade grew and art and culture flourished. The growth and spread of population over the years led to the foundation of the first empires. However, these societies experienced widening internal disparities that resulted in social inequality, class caste differentiation, slavery, subjugation of women, etc. The next important revolution in human history was the Industrial Revolution, which began about 250 years ago. Factories were set up to produce goods on a large scale. These factories required vast quantities of raw materials and fuel, which led to a sharp rise in the demand for natural resources. The nations that were industrializing in the 19th century began to look for new raw material sources to keep their factories running. These nations believed that the world's natural wealth was a resource that it had to be used to the full. The resources were to be exploited to increase production in their factories and thus improve the living standards of their people. They also believed that scarcities of raw materials could be managed by developing new technology and production techniques. They began to colonize countries across Asia, America, and Africa and to exploit the natural wealth of these colonies. Industrial economists and scientists till 1950s believed that natural resources are inexhaustible and could be exploited limitlessly to increase society's productivity. The only problem was that natural wealth was unevenly distributed across the globe, with some places being richly endowed and others having few resources. Trade was seen as a solution to correct this imbalance and make natural resources available to all nations. The third topic deals in details about what are natural resources. Natural resources are resources in whose creation humans do not play a role. Humans only extract resources from their natural setting. For example, the wood we collect from the forest is a natural resource, but the cotton we grow in fields is not. Similarly, the iron ore we mine is a natural resource, but the steel we make from it is not. In this picture, you can see the various natural resources and their uses. For example, water is used for drinking purpose and also for making energy. Oil is used as fuel and as energy source. From forest we get wood, food, medicines, wood pulp, rubber, and the animals use it as habitat. Rocks are used for shelter and construction purpose. Minerals are used for ornaments, glass, boxes, earthenware, and soil is used for doing agriculture, whereas animals are used as source of food and wool. The next topic is the classification of natural resources. Natural resources are classified in different ways. Resources derived from living things such as wood, fish, etc. are organic resources. Coal and mineral oil also belong to this category because they are fossilized living beings. Non-living physical resources such as land, air, water, metallic minerals, etc. belong to the category of inorganic resources. We can also classify resources according to whether they are replenished in nature or not. Resources that replenish naturally are renewable resources, and the resources that are available in finite quantities and do not replenish easily are known as non-renewable resources. Let's talk in detail about renewable resources. They replenish by natural processes. They are always present on earth, for example, air, water, forest, animals, etc. If humans do not interfere in their renewal process and utilize them carefully, they will be constantly available. However, there is a limit to their utilization. Exceeding this limit or spoiling the resource leads to their degradation and affects their renewal. For example, depletion of forest cover results in less water seeping into the earth. This affects the recharge of groundwater. The depletion of groundwater causes dug wells, bore wells to dry up. Hence, it is important to keep the renewal cycles of resources in mind if we wish to use them judiciously. Resources must renew naturally. Similarly, we should use groundwater only to the extent that it recharges naturally, otherwise, the water table will fall. The next is non-renewable resources. These resources such as iron ore, coal, mineral oil, etc. are available in limited quantities. The natural stock depletes the more we utilize them because they do not renew themselves. For example, metallic ore deposits deplete after mining and extracting the metal from them. In this table, you can see the proven global reserves of crude oil available on Earth. Middle East, which is most famous for oil reserves, has an estimated 809,000 million barrels of crude oil reserves which will last for the next 79 years. United States of America has 44,000 million barrels of crude oil and it will last for the next 12 years. When we talk about the whole world, 1688,000 million barrels of crude oil is present, which will last for the next 53 years. These estimates are of 2013. The sensible thing to do is to reduce consumption, use oil only when necessary, and look for alternate energy sources. For example, we could increase production of solar and wind energy to reduce our dependence on mineral oil. The developed nations are not concerned about the needs of developing nations but want to control global oil reserves to protect their own interest and ensure they do not face any shortages. Some non renewable resources can be recycled. For example, we use bauxite to produce aluminium and aluminium utensils. We cannot renew our bauxite deposits, but we can recycle the aluminium of old utensils by melting and reusing it. So, in this way, we can keep our resources for long time. Thank you.